Hello, this is Ashy. Today I have with me Wa.
Hello.
I also have Dez.
Hey!
So, we have completed our talks about Cleric. So,
Thank God.
now I want to talk about a fairly similar class, being Druid. Before we get into meat and potatoes though, what do you guys think the most important ability a Druid gets is?
Well, outside of
Mine-
spellcasting.
9th level spells. Being a full caster is always the most important.
my an- my answer to that question is it depends what your druid's doing.
Fair.
Like if you're a druid who is going to put all your feats and build around wild shape, it's probably going to be wild shape. It's one of the few things you actually get. However, if you then go for something like a halcyon druid, your most important thing is your spells.
Yeah, that's fair. I actually had asked like Mir and Nerdy as well, and Mir did kind of give a very similar response of it depends, and I think ended with sort of leaning towards wild shape, and Nerdy was just like flat out wild shape, with his justification being it's probably one of your most reliable abilities.
Sure, it sure fucking is. Wild shape by itself is still just good. That's just true. It is just good. It's a hell of a lot better if you focus into it than if you're going full caster. It's still an important tool, but if your goal is to be a wizard in full template, your spells are the most important part. And it's not as though they've actually got many features on their thing that fucking does anything else. Woodless Stride, Trackless Step, Resist Fey Fox, and then it's just all wild shape. And a bit of Venom immunity at 9.
Yeah,
And
that's
some
fair.
shape shifting at 13. But the majority of this is just you get more wild shape and you get more spells.
Yeah. I kind of like how you guys were just starting off on the same page with like spells. That's kind of funny to me. I was actually expecting like at least one of you to suggest maybe the Animal Companion or something.
Oh yeah,
But no,
guess
just
one of
spells.
those.
I mean, Animal Companion can be cute, but again, you gotta invest into it. Like, spellcasting's just good.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yes, sure, their list is not the arcane list, which is like the best list in the game, but having 9th level cast and a lot of the druid spells are just unique and good.
Yeah.
So, your animal companion is a very powerful creature, and they can be probably the single most powerful thing in the party if you go for one of the big old stat sticks. But if you're actually wanting your wild shape to support you in melee, you're actually best off going hunter. Like since hunter exists, the whole animal companion hyper focus and teamwork fighting with them, it kind of gets moved over to that class.
Honestly, with the right types of Inquisitor, like the Monster Tactician Inquisitor can do the same thing. So yeah, there is other classes that can do the teaming up with their animal companion a bit better.
I mean, my only thought is that with the hunter, you get to double dip, and you get to double dip in teamwork feats. It gets free teamwork feats, and any you get your animal companion also just gets. So you've doubled the efficiency of your feats, and the feats are also stacking with each other while being used correctly.
That was Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Inquisitor Monster Hunt, the Monster Tactician gets the same thing.
As in,
They
just
it
get it
gets
as a
this-
feature.
Yeah, they get the solo tactics so that they can do it, and they get the ability to grant it to their familiars.
There's
I mean,
Well, to
true,
their animal companion.
but they grant it. They don't just both get the feat, and it's just there, baked in.
I haven't played one of these in years, so now I gotta look it up.
I'm pretty sure Monster Tactician has the ability to declare you're a teamwork feat. You can use my teamwork feat now. Whereas the Hunter is, I have this. We both get it. All the time, forever. I'm making that distinction.
Well,
Oh, there's the one that I was thinking of. Summon Tactics. It's at level 5. Anything that the Monster Tactician summons, they can choose one teamwork feat and give it to all their summons.
Okay. Well, the Hunter's got 10 teamwork feats. And so does the Animal Companion now. And if you've got the boon of Eristil, so does the second clone of your animal companion. And the boss is about to die. Real fast.
It all leads back to Aristil.
So,
It's always Aristil.
being able to just clone your animal companion and go, right, there's 2 of them now, is
It's pretty goofy.
kind of busted.
It's pretty silly.
So yeah,
So let's I'm gonna open up Druid and let's get into the meat and potats now. So
No, let's get into potats and veggies and other things because the druids don't eat meat.
what kind of fucking druid have you been playing? That's
none.
elves?
is that even elves? Is that really elves?
I don't know.
I feel like elves would also eat meat, reasonably. All right.
My point is, druids are not fucking vegan.
They can be. They don't have to be. Maybe they shouldn't be. They should be all
Why would they be?
in line with a nature.
Pure
natural
good
order
berry
and all
diet.
that. Pure good.
Oh.
Pure good berry diet.
Man, does
No.
a bear shit in the woods? The fucking druid does.
All right. So, druids have an alignment requirement that calls for them to be neutral something, so they can't be one of the extreme alignments, i.e. lawful good, lawful evil, chaotic evil. They have a hit dice, base attack bonus, and saves like a cleric, which that's like a D8, good serviceable for them, medium BAB, which they can get away with, a good fortitude and will saves, which I've said before, 2 of the best to have. They're also sitting better on skill points than a cleric as well, with like 4+ intelligent modifier worth of skills to work with.
It's true.
Again, kind of like cleric, intelligence is not a priority, and they have similar stat requirements to what a cleric would want as well, being like they'll want wisdom if they want to be good at casting their spells, which like we said earlier, they get 9th level spells. Typically spells are a priority. They'll want good constitution if they want to take any sort of abuse, good strength or dexterity if they want to dish out some abuse. And they may arguably need less of it than a cleric would, but more just tends to be better. Wild Shape does kind of help boost those stats considerably when they start getting it and getting into like the deeper levels of it.
I mean, it's true. You can really heavily focus on your mental stats to be a semi-unassailable bastion of will and caster. But then your wild shape or use Form of the Dragon or something, even if it's on your spell list or your wild shape. And then go beat the shit out of something because no one's really going to argue with that +8 to strength. Or whatever the hell you feed it into. Like, there's a powerful shape that makes it count as a size category larger for resisting combat maneuvers. Or wild shape has got a lot of support to it, and if you stack into it, it becomes absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, very comfortably so too. And when it comes to charisma, you probably need it less than a cleric, since cleric has to have it for channels. And technically, druids will use it too, but they don't have like huge important class features that scale off of it.
Does druid usually use charisma except from like diplomacy against edibles?
Yeah, their wild empathy does scale off charisma. That's about it. Handle animal scales off of charisma if they invest in it. Speaking of handle animal, their skills, their class skills, with their skill points they can invest a little bit more, but they get climb, craft, fly, handle animal, heal, K geography, K nature, perception, profession, ride, spellcraft, survival, and swim. Climb, fly, and swim all live here as skills aiding in movement. Again, as usual. You can get good strength and bonuses to climb and swim as well as fly by gaining some move speeds that aid them like via wild shape. It makes investing hard into them less appealing, but a small investment can go good ways. And considering you can get a fly speed, climb is devalued a bit further. Though you can't fly in the water, so.
You definitely do want to get some points into fly, because if you're using regular unpowered flight, things are capable of hitting you with a bow and knocking you out of the air.
Yeah.
The often ignored rule of Pathfinder. Taking damage, while flying with natural means, can make you hit the ground and die.
Yes.
Shockingly.
Yeah.
Fly is also one of the skills that, like, you only need a certain amount of investment to hit breakpoints, because once you can hit all the breakpoints, it doesn't really matter how much damage things are capable of doing, or
No.
what kind of crazy maneuvers you're trying to do. You'll just be able to stay afloat.
You sort of the only time it really becomes a problem is, let's say you've got like the enchantment and armor that lets your wild shape continue using your armor, and you actually are rocking stone plates, and you're just eating some massive -12 to skills that require you to use some dexterity, like fly.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a stone plate clad pteranodon, like you're straight out of Warhammer Fantasy. You're gonna need to invest in a bit of fly though to just not get knocked straight out of the air.
That does sound like it would be pretty cool.
Dinosaurs are animals.
They are.
Your DM might hate that fact, but they are.
The DM has other means. We'll get into that later. Back to skills, though. Perception. It's likely the most roll skills in the game. You're also a wisdom caster. Perception's a good investment. Survival, for similar reasons, is also a good investment. The Druid being a survivalist makes sense thematically and mechanically, whether tracking, determining weather, getting directions, or just finding dinner.
I'm gonna say it saves you carrying a bunch of supplies around with you. It's like, okay, well, we need to eat now because it's camp time. Survival check, and here's a deer to eat.
Here's a dozen squirrels, a handful of berries, about 6 apples, give or take whatever the hell. It's dinner.
Or if you're in the desert, here, suck on this cactus.
Here's some cactus. I caught some wild scorpions, chopped their tails off, prepped them all nice.
You've been watching Dungeon Meshi.
It's been a while since I've seen Dungeon Meshi, but I have watched it. And I wasn't thinking about scorpions going to Dungeon Meshi.
Yes, you were.
It's just one of those things you can find out here in the desert as a desert dweller.
Don't lie to me.
I mean, you can also eat tarantulas, but eh.
They're doing the Philippines and Thailand.
Yeah. So, heal. Heal being wisdom-based as well makes it not a bad pick. Again, wisdom-based skill, wisdom caster. There's some utility for it out of combat. More info on heal when discussing cleric.
Wait, what?
Kate. We talked about heal ad nauseum in cleric, so I'm not going to get too far into it here.
Understandable.
K geography can be used for astronomy or to just know things about the peoples, climates, terrain, points of interest. It doesn't exactly overlap with survival. Not exactly, but eh. K nature. It can be used to identify natural hazards, plants, animals, monsters, humanoids, fae, vermin, weather phenomenon, or if a structure is naturally occurring. It's arguably more useful an investment than KGO is. Also, like, how much have you laughed at certain characters for not being particularly good at being at K nature despite being druids?
Well, we do have a druid who has basically not invested anything in K nature.
And every time it's time to roll K nature, you kind of laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're a fucking druid. They're the worst fucking druid I have ever seen, but they are a druid. Yes.
It's okay. They're traveling with a super genius that's got like ranks in all knowledges, so they can just correct them.
You do not get to use your character being good at stuff to excuse another player for being just the least thematic thing I have ever seen.
Hey,
I'm glad he doesn't watch these videos.
They had to do a lot in order to invest in being also a part-time bard that they forget about.
Oof.
They're a bard, they've got even less excuse to be bad at a fucking knowledge skill.
Oof.
No, they're a part-time bard. It's variant multi-class, so they're just bad bard.
They should be part-time better at it, because they're a goddamn bard.
You know?
Alright, enough bullying the druid. That isn't good at K-Nature for some reason. Or wasn't for the longest time good at K-Nature. Alright, so Spellcraft. Could be valuable if the druid is the only caster to invest into it. Otherwise, let the in-caster dump their points into it. Unless you, the druid, are the item crafter.
We're doing it's Trinian again.
I wasn't gonna bring him up, but yeah, sure, Trinian again. Alright. Ride. Ride can have uses if you have desires to ride into battle with your animal companion. I'll have a lot more to say on this when we discuss Cavalier in the future. This can be good and help you protect your animal companion, though this puts your druid on or like near the front line, which is fine if that's where your druid wants to be. It might be weird to mention like handle animals so late, like, you know, way down here. It can be used by the druid for training animals or potentially trying to calm them, but druids get a class feature that makes most of that kind of redundant, and the class feature doesn't require any investment beyond just leveling druid.
I was gonna say, you get to a point where your animal companion can have 3 intelligence, and therefore you don't need to run them on tricks. They are sentient and can make their own goddamn choices.
Handle animal could be worth more investment if you are taking an animal companion and you want more than what they can get for scaling in tricks. Or if you have an animal companion that's exceptionally dumb with a base of 1 intelligence, which some of them do have.
Yeah, okay. 1 intelligence or a mindless vermin, then you're gonna need to get training.
And I also rate craft and profession down here pretty low. They live in this category of still just being downtime skills, so I have a hard time recommending them unless you're doing some jank that involves them or are just devoted to RP.
Well, profession has its uses, because if you are not, you don't have a class bonus in certain skills, you could have a profession that overlaps with it and will have that bonus for whatever reason.
Sure.
Like the druid. So the druid, it doesn't necessarily make the great use of profession, because let's say you're some class that doesn't get survival, but it does get profession. So you go to profession, and you were as a youth a woodsman or something, and then behold, you can do survival checks now with a wisdom.
Yeah.
With a favorite class
Through
bonus.
knowledge you should have from your profession.
Yeah.
Again,
So you might not
druid.
rate it. True, but you might not rate profession. I do, because it just allows you to sidestep issues of having low skill proficiencies, basically, in a class.
I think the only time that
Plus-
I might rate craft, for example, as a skill that's not just used for RP and flavor is probably with gunslinger or alchemist.
True.
So, with those all handled, let's actually get into some like class features, starting with the weapons and armor proficiencies. Druids get light and medium, and shields except for tower shields. They can only use non-metal armors and shields, or they get a penalty where they get locked out of their supernaturals, their spell-likes, and their spells for 24 hours. Which sounds like a lot, but actually a lot of the druids' abilities that they get over time are actually EXs, surprisingly, rather than supernaturals.
But on top of that, there's shitloads of special materials that replicate mithril and stuff. You've got Dark Leaf, which is the cloth and leather equivalent of essentially mithril. It's half its weight. It's a natural. You've got Darkwood, half weight, wooden armor, mithril. Becomes relevant when it comes to being sundered, because its hardness is a lot less lower. And arguably, the DM could go, the dragon fire breaths you, and it starts burning your armor because it's vulnerable to fire. It's wood.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Speaking
But then
of
you
dragon,
What?
there's also the dragon armor and such like that, which
Dragon
is
hide.
also good for them. Yes.
True.
Great
Dragon
way to
hide.
get metal armor.
And then you've got your stone. Then you've got your stone plate.
Ah, yes, for the druid that wants to walk around in rock.
Yep.
I mean, Trinian did, and his he had a beautiful set of like pink-ass crystal stone plate.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Go ahead,
He was-
Tarek.
He was basically half Tarek, half Ricard.
Yeah. So that's about their armor. As far as their weapons go, they get a selection of weapons to choose from. It's mostly simple ones. Outliers in the weapons that they get are probably the scimitar, the scythe, and the spears. At least in my opinion, I think those are the best ones that they get access to natively.
Yeah. Spears aren't a bad option. Polearms are never bad.
Spears are super decent. Like, they're like, as a simple weapon, the spear and the long spear both are like X3 multiplier weapons. And even though the spear itself isn't a reach weapon, the long spear absolutely is.
Yeah. There's a mention here of you can armor that's been altered by the Ironwood spell to make it function as steel. They're okay with that, because that's literally why that spell exists.
Yes, it is.
The Druids went, wow, this cordage sucks dick. Ironwood.
Right. Looking at their spells, they get spell options from 1st to 9th. They are prepared wisdom-based casters like clerics, so they can pull from their entire list to fill their spell slots like a cleric would. They have restrictions based on their alignment, in that if they have an alignment component in their alignment, they cannot cast spells of an opposed alignment. Also, if they have a deity, they can't cast spells opposed to the deity's alignment. A druid might be a class where skipping out on a deity might not be a bad idea. Or at least if you're going for an extreme alignment deity. Such as a druid worshipping Iomade can't cast chaotic spells anymore.
And there's always the option of Gosray, who just does not care.
Yeah.
As long as you're not going around deforesting things, he's like, yeah, whatever.
Weird how, like, one of the more druidy gods is good for druids, isn't it? Who would have thought?
He definitely does occupy a certain flavor of druid. The survival of the fittest druid, the shit happens druid. It's like, oh no, save our town, a flash flood is washing us away. Your druid can go, well, shouldn't have been there then, should you? So there is definitely room for being a very callous druid. On top of that, there are evil deities that function as more as a blight druid, which the theme for them is more Nurgly. It's like the cycle of decay and death and rebirth and rot is just part of the natural order. I just happen to encourage it. So the druids can definitely go from good aligned to evil alignment, as long as you can sort of justify in how the fucking world spins and how you keep it spinning.
Although it's a little... It involves running through some hoops. I also know that you could make a druid necromancer by, like, using one of the subdomains off of the urban druid. Is weird and a little janky. Because normally that's not a thing that druids can do. But there is a way. And that's kind of funny to me.
Well, like with Pathfinder, it's either you need to jank it and then you need to justify it.
Nature will find a way.
Nature will find a way.
Well,
So-
the negative energy plane is part of the entire cycle. It is there, it is natural, and it exists.
Yeah. Additionally,
Pharasma
like-
off.
Sorry?
I was gonna say Pharasma off in the distance going, not if I can help it!
Fucking true, isn't it? So,
I'm not gonna be a
additionally,
druid
like...
for Asma.
Sorry? A druid of Pharasma?
I mean, the
Yeah,
cycle
that's
is
fine.
the cycle is yet another part of the natural order of things,
Yeah. That's fine.
as dictated by Pharasma, no less.
As dictated,
But still,
as dictated by Pharasma.
I am the natural order, bitch.
So, additionally, like clerics, druids get access to a spontaneous option for sacrificing spell slots. Though for them, what they get in exchange for sacrificing a spell slot is Summon Nature's Ally. So they basically have access to a full range of summons by ditching spells.
Later on, that's not too bad. I mean, it's another body on the battlefield. It can tank hits. Some of them have got decent side effects to them. Spell likes, poisons, whatever. Oh, what you really would be going for, something with a really nasty grab attack.
If you can get it, hell yeah.
It's why Jack summoned those bearliths. Yeah, they turn off ray and beam and chain spells, but they've also just got a grab attack, unlike the regular bearlith.
Yeah. I mean, turning off the rays and spells and stuff could be situationally very helpful.
I know.
Where the enemies that you were fighting, like, slinging things like that.
I assume they would. That's why I summoned them.
It makes sense.
When you can't all crowd around the swashbuckler, summon in creatures that just suck them up.
Yeah. Just situational anti-magic fucking lightning rods. They're just so good. Can't believe I didn't know they didn't exist. Anyway, where are we at?
I was gonna mention that they also have 0-level spells called Orisons.
Yeah, they got divine cantrips.
Yeah.
Of
And-
note, the Druid spell list doesn't have the best damage options they're reserved for the arcane, but what they do have is an absolute boatload of battlefield control. They will be They will be throwing down all of the walls, all of the difficult terrain, all of the entangle effects. They are the kings of. Yeah, I'm about to make using this battle map. You have set up, DM, the most infuriating part of your fucking existence. This Trinian spent most of his life doing until he got blade barrier and shit. But that's still battlefield control. It's like
It is. It's just when you're
Nice.
casting it with immediate action, suddenly it's less battlefield control and more of a they declared a charge action. Here, charge to this blender, dickhead.
nice charge, asshole. But have you considered Wall of Swords?
Yeah.
They just emerges from the other side as a fine spray of mist.
I guess it is worth mentioning, like, yeah, druids are huge battlefield controllers, but they also get access to, like, most of the healing spell options. They have their own flavor of resurrection in the form of reincarnate and, like, cyclic reincarnate. So they could function as a healer if they needed to. Their damage options are a bit weaker, even weaker than, like, cleric for a while. They do get clanging rocks later.
They do get clashing rocks.
Clashing rocks is hard to argue with.
Clashing rocks, storm bolts. Like, yeah, once they get beyond 5th level, their damage options do spike, but until that point, your job is less about damage and more just making sure that your enemies are having as much of a bad time as possible. No, you can't 5-foot step, obsidian flow.
Though it's also probably worth mentioning, they get a selection of, like, buffs that are great for their animal companion or other natural attackers, or a monk.
Yeah, druids and monks pair up very well. Between Strongjaw, which increases their effective size category for their unarmed strikes and natural attacks by 2 steps, 2 whole ass dice bumps.
Two
And
size
there's-
categories, not just 2 steps.
That's
There's a
what I
big
said.
difference.
Right. 2 size categories is 2 dice steps, so 4 dice steps. Anyway. And then you have Lockjaw, which allows your monk to go, my unarmed strikes, my punch, is now also a grab attack. Oh no!
Yeah.
And of course you can do that to your animal companions, an Eidolon,
You can do it to yourself,
yourself.
or if you have other natural attack options natively.
True. Like, I am definitely. This is exactly why I was with Des and leaned towards the spells being one of the more important aspects of a druid, because of the buff options. Because you can Voltron up your druid into something monk into a world-ending threat, as we did.
I mean, you say that, but just get the druid with natural spell, turns himself into like a giant-ass gorilla, and then just Voltrons himself.
True.
Turn into
I
a
mean,
giant
true.
ass gorilla, pick up your giant ass I don't know, scythe or scimitar of ass kicking, and go to town.
True, but if you have then buffed up your monk or whatever, and they're going ham, it does leave your action economy a little bit looser to do back to your battlefield control, your healing, damage mitigation, whatever you're doing.
True.
Splitting the workload does help you get a lot more done.
Well, yes. Yeah, it is absolutely better to drop all of your buffs onto someone else so that you can continue doing things like buffing others or something else whilst the one you buffed just goes off and plays Superman.
However, let's say you've actually gone Halcyon Druid and you've got access to some wizard spells. You can do your Embody Mask thing, literally wild shape into a Planetar or a Solar, a really powerful outsider, and you can in fact do prodigious proportions on yourself, and then cast Tensor's transformation on yourself, and then you can walk in and beat the shit out of things.
I mean,
Things that you
what
can
what
absolutely
what
do.
was? I mean, what was that thing that I had plotted if Amala ever reached her level 9 spells, Ashy? Drop that time stop and then use the frozen time to drop all the buffs, and when she comes out of it, she's a legendary proportion form of the Dragon 3 Tensor's transformation monster.
Yeah, just so long
Yeah.
as you cast Tensor's last, because you can't cast
Yes.
spells once Tensor's is up.
I'm
So you
pretty
do your
yeah,
buffs
sure.
and you Tensors.
No, the whole thing was using quickened spells and regular casts to basically give like plus 20s to all the stats before Tensor's transformationing, and then just showing up to be the BBEG. Beat the crap
Sure.
out of the boss.
Sure. You could absolutely do that as a druid as well, and it's really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one expects King Kong to walk out of the mist, and yet here you are.
along with their T-Rex. They're riding on the T-Rex.
Riding a T-Rex!
I mean, you know, a big ass gorilla on big ass T-Rex.
With a big ass reach weapon.
There's some Planet of the Apes shit going on here.
There is, but you can do it. Druids are
That's
versatile in the amount of bullshit they can pull off. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done glazing the druid's fucking cheeks.
Okay.
For now.
So, spells, important. We've spent enough time on this important class feature. So, bonus languages. Automatically, a druid gets druidic. It's a secret language only known to druids, and you, the druid, are not allowed to teach it to non-druids, or bad things happen.
If you have a monk with Tongue of the Sun and Moon who can just automatically speak druid, you need to explain that to other druids who are giving you the look.
Actually, I find it hilarious that there's actually a trait out there that, like, I think it's like wild speech or something. It lets you pick one of the weird nature languages, but it actually has under it that you can have druidic if your DM approves. Note, you might want to explain how you know druidic.
Well, now.
Justify your actions.
Also, Sylvan becomes a language option at level 1 if you have high enough end. No one cares about that one as much, probably.
Yeah, no one cares about it until you're getting fucked with by the Fae, and then you suddenly need it.
If you know you're going to be doing Feywild nonsense, you're probably picking it up, like in Rise of the Runelords, where we all ended up sinking a point to get Thessalonian, because at some point you're going to go, well, we're speaking and reading a lot of Thessalonian from here on out.
Yeah.
You know what? Just picking up the Silver Bullet language because there's nothing stopping. Yeah, fair enough.
You definitely do end up in those situations where you go into, let's say you do end up surprised, you're in the Feywild, you level up, and then everyone's like, yo, we all speak Sylvan now. How? Skill point.
Skill point.
Just skill point.
Linguistics.
Linguistics is such an underrated fucking skill, I love it. It is also one of my favorites.
Powerful skill.
Linguistics, powerful. UMD, super powerful if you use your brain.
I still find it insane that they include linguistics as a background skill and not an actual adventuring skill.
Is it a background skill? Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure linguistics was a background skill.
Oh my god!
Okay. It's very
love
good
it.
for a background skill.
That's very
Let's
good for
see,
a background skill.
skills. I'm gonna look it up just to be absolutely sure, but
More on background skills
yeah,
later.
linguistics. Yeah, linguistics. It's on there.
Fuck.
That's actually how Erika was able to just invest into it more.
Okay. Fair
Awesome.
enough.
Rad. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Druid. So, the next thing we're going to talk about, probably a bit more of a unique, bit more interesting option. Perhaps you could even call this a keystone ability, Nature Bond. Nature Bond has 2 and an optional choice to make when you get your first level. I'd say 3, but some DMs would say 2. Option 1. The Druid takes a domain. The domains on offer here are the Elemental Domain, Plant Domain, and Animal Domain. as well as the weather domain. Fire good, air not bad, earth not bad, water situational but not terrible, animal good, plant okay, weather good, if you need a reminder on how we felt about them. They also have some of their own domain options, but we have a lot to talk about today, so we will come back to them in the future. This option allows for a druid to have as many casts as a cleric would. Like, without a domain, druids actually just... They have very few spells as per their chart. Especially, like, early on, like, that level 1 is only 1 spell.
Mhm.
And as you level up, you'll feel the less spells per level a bit less keenly.
There's also, if you end up either investing with point buy or rolling a really nice high roll to put in your wisdom and then a wisdom bonus from your race, you will get two or three bonus spells depending on how you end up getting it.
Yeah.
So it's not, your base spells are quite bad, but your bonus spells, if you are doing it that way, can shore it up quite nicely.
And
Level 1 casters feel bad in the casting fucking... Level 1 casters feel bad anyway. It doesn't matter what you are, you ain't got many.
And the domain option, yeah, you get the domain powers, but it also just gives you that one more spell per level, which
Sure.
could be pretty nice. You could also take relevant subdomains, which can beef some of those domains up a bit. And I'll have to get around to those in like a series of less than an hour-long videos.
I don't
So-
believe you.
That was option 1. Option 2. Option 2 is you can take an animal companion. They have access to the full list of animal companions. This is a good choice. Extra action economy is good. Animal companions have internal scaling to help them keep up with the party.
They're not like
And-
rangers. They're full hit dice. They're full scaling. If you multi-class, you can boon companion, so you can get up to 4 levels of multi-class somewhere else and have a fully fueled, fully powered animal companion.
Truth.
And animal companions have a breakpoint, where at level 4 to 7, they go up in a size category and get a ridiculous amount of free stats.
Depending on the animal companion, some get less stats than others. Some get truly ridiculous numbers. I was gonna say, animal companion itself will probably give its own video, so we can get deeper into it later on. For the purpose of this video, it is a good and common choice made by druids.
It also will depend on how your DM feels about certain animal companions, because you've got your wolf, your boar, your bear, your scorpion, your spiders, your birds, your ostrich, but then there's the next tier up, which is your dinosaur, your megafauna. Now, I've seen a lot of DMs veto that entire set of lists,
Yeah.
but when you get to megafauna, they're like basically twice as fucking powerful just out of the box as a regular animal companion.
Megafauna
Or you've
are
got
very good.
Orcish Warcat,
Orcish Warcat
the best
should be
all-arounder.
Orcish Warcat may not be a megafauna, but it deserves to be in the listing of megafauna.
Yeah, it's like just all around the best stat stick with Pounds Grab Rake. Spinosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Titanoboa actually can outscale the Warcat. They're just the big snake. For whatever fucking reason. Therizinosaur has a mythic ability to just do a cone of bleed sweep. Just whack everything in front of it. So, if you're allowed to have the dinosaur options and you're doing your best Ixalan cosplay, this is probably the best choice out of everything in Nature Bond. If they've been reduced to the regular animal, you can make a lot of cases for anything else.
I mean, I have a hard time seeing animal companions ever being a bad class feature or a bad choice.
No, it's not bad. It's
Yeah.
just objectively the best if you have access to the giant stat sticks. If you are restricted
Sure.
to the regular animal list, you can make good cases for the other bonds, depending on what you're doing. It's just
So-
hard to argue with a fucking T-Rex, you know?
It is a little hard to argue with the T-Rex. Or basically any freaking dinosaur.
Yeah, they're all good. Ankylosaurus, if you whack with your tail, you daze them. If you crit with it, they just get stunned. So the Ankylosaurus, big defense, not necessarily the best, but it has a stunning hammer tail. And we've seen that fuck shit up.
We have, yeah. Cry over here, like, where's my Yankee?
Where's my herder Ankies?
Dumb shit. Oh yeah, and if
It's
your
good
animal
stuff.
companion would die, you can get a new one by performing a ceremony that takes 24 uninterrupted hours of prayer.
I mean, do remember your animal companion is still a living thing. It is still also subject to resurrection effects like Breath of Life,
Yes.
Raise Dead. You can get in there in time without having to do this ritual with a cooldown and this and that. You can just res the bastard.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do the ritual.
No. Absolutely fucking not.
So, so let's get on to this third option. So, option 3 has the most text attributed to it. So, let's get into this. It's the shady ask your DM if you can have it choice. Druidic herbalism, there's a lot of words here that, the first thing, you get a not brew potion, that's basically brew potion. You can make free not potions a day equal to your wisdom modifier. These can be sold for extra cash, you know, if you can convince an NPC to actually buy them. You can make
The herbal
additional...
concoctions are typically thick and sludgy. Appealing.
Oh yeah, no, like, slurp that shit down.
It's the Hackfish Challenge all over again!
Okay. So you can make additional not potions by spending resources and time as if you had, like, the brew potion feat. And at 4th level, like, the druid can try to disguise the potion, which increases its identified DC by 5. Essentially. And if they pass that plus 5 DC, they can suss out the actual effect. If they don't, the not potion is identified as whatever the druid wanted it to be identified at creation. And at 4th level also, the additional concoctions are now half price, so basically a quarter of the cost. They take half the time, and they can be any spell of any list as long as the druid can cast that spell. By the way, levels 1 to 3 are restricted to druid spell list. At 7th level, your Is This Potion Trust Me Bro DC goes up to plus 10 instead of plus 5. And the druid can create any herbal concoction in a single minute, and a druid can create not extracts with the cost of expending the spell for the extract, and it's counted as having the infusion discovery of spells above the limit of 3rd level, you know, just in time for your 4th level spells. Because they function like extracts, they aren't permanent concoctions like all the 1, 2s, and 3s. And, this option ain't bad, even if you aren't trying to use it to scam people. Or, you know, just being a sneaky little jerk with your not potions of Trust Me Bro.
Trust me, bro, it's a healing potion. Gets fucking inflict wounded.
And because it's also defined as optional, your DM is perfectly in the right to just say no.
I don't see a reason why a DM would say no to this. This seems to exist specifically and purely for Pathfinder Society, which just outlaws crafting.
Somehow I feel like Pathfinder Society is one of the first people that would say no just because it's quote-unquote crafting, but not crafting.
So, you know that crafting your potions in 1 minute? Does that
Yeah.
apply to your downtime tier of mass-producing potions?
It says all concoctions. It says all.
So, you could actually make ridiculous amounts of fucking money out of this if you have an extended period of downtime, because spellcraft services and potion services aren't cheap.
And because you're also by this time paying a quarter of the cost, even selling at half value, which is what you'll realistically be selling at, like, you'll still be making half the value of every single potion that you've crafted. Even though that's like a designed inherent limit of crafting.
Yeah, you're still doubling your money.
Yeah. It's arguably slower, but not really. And like, yeah, if you want to sell permanent potions, it's still limited to like your 1, 2s, and 3s. But like, that's kind of fine. If you just spend an hour just chugging out every one of your 1, 2s, and 3s. That's still a lot of potions, and you're basically able to just double that money that you spent on them.
Let's go have a look at some prices here. A 3rd level potion from a druid is 750 GP.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting 425 GP per. If you've got extended downtime, this is quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, you're making a couple of thousand. Let's say you're making maybe 4,000 GP a day, more if you've got some pills of power, or you could fund yourself some pills of power, whatever the druid equivalent is. I think it is still pearls.
It's still pearls. They're prepared
So you've got you can fund your pills of power. You're limited to 8 hours of crafting a day, but by this point you're crafting at a minute. So you've basically got unlimited crafting for these, as long as you can keep fueling slots.
Yeah.
So then let's say you can get 6k a day. You've got a downtime of a month. Multiply that by a month. Yeah, it's a shitload of money. It's a ridiculous amount of money, if you have the time.
That's probably the biggest reason why most DMs would just know it. Because, like, while some of those spells are taking investment, like, the more expensive spells that you're probably going to be making will be your 3rd level spells, and they'll probably be... Yeah, I'm not putting in investment. These are my free spells, based on my wisdom modifier. So you're really only paying for your lower leveled spells to be crafted, and then sold.
And that's like, again, if you go into the fucking downtime, it's like, oh, we're taking a month off? Okay, well, I'm gonna make a stockpile of potions for when we go into the next area.
Oh yeah, you can do it that way. You can literally just come in with a month's worth of free prepared spells. That, I mean, your list of doing it that way, your list of prepared spells, is quite limited. That's going to be useful from level 1 to 3 at a mid to high level adventuring party. But there's definitely purposes for them.
Yeah,
Fuck, you could just have a bunch of cure potions for out of combat healing. You just start slurping them.
Yeah.
And it's like, worst case, it could be a pile of healing.
Yeah.
Or, like, you grab, like, I think Barkin's, like, 2nd level, and because you're making it as a free potion, you're probably applying your full caster level, which means somebody could suck down a Bark Skin potion and suddenly have a huge natural armor bonus.
That is true, actually. I mean, that's good for you, because you're probably going to have an AMF on instead of an Amulet of Natural Armor.
It's good for you, but name someone who it isn't good for.
Like, let's be fair, any group can be like, wait, we can actually just ditch our amulets of natural armor and try any of the other amulets while the druid just lets us chug some brews.
That's actually fucking true. It basically frees up a slot when you need it. Damn, you know, I think I'm sold on this herbalist. I think it's good.
Yeah, no,
I think it's good. It's good enough that the DM might say no.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a campaign with a lot of downtime. Like, in Kingmaker, it'd be busted.
Oh god, you're right.
Oh yeah, we're gonna take 2 years of downtime. Okay. What are you doing? Potions!
Well, what I'm doing is all of my usual business stuff, but what I'm also doing is 5 minutes in the morning after breakfast, I'm making, like, 5 potions every day.
Okay, so it's 25% of the price to make a potion. So it's 420. It'll be 425. So you'll be making
275, but because your math is
so let's
bad.
say you make 170 GP profit. It's a random fucking number.
Sure.
Multiplied by a year. So if you've got a year of downtime and you do one of those potions a day, that's 62 grand. How many potions could you make out of that for just level 3? Druid. I'm doing this math here. So let's say is it 7th level you get this ability?
No. No, it's not. 7th level is basically when you can do your higher than level 3 spells, but they can only be temporary concoctions. You can have this at level 1, so by level 5 you're doing it with level 3 spells.
So you get 2. Let's say you've got 2 bonus spells from your wisdom. So yeah, in that year of downtime of fucking around in Kingmaker with the designated dude and the druid went, I'm good, I'm going to go to my shack, call me when you need me, he's going to walk back out with 124 grand of just raw money. And that's
Yeah.
including all of the super reduced prices. If you can swing the DM that you're a primary producer and you can sell them at full price, multiply by 3, that's 372,000 gold.
Never let your players be actual producers. Don't
No.
let it happen.
No,
Keep your sanity.
don't. But here's the thing: the profit margins are just the same if you've gone for the whole crafting thing, where you've got like I think it's called there's magical knack, there's hedge wizard, where you start reducing costs. You can kind of pull nearly a full profit margin if you're built into crafting these materials anyway.
Yeah.
Especially because they don't count as magic potions; they're alchemical, so the prices are lower anyway.
I'm also
Or at least
gonna
you can
say,
stack price reductions.
I'm also gonna say the poor alchemist not being the best potion brewer anymore.
So, I know that was a lot of words, but the point is, if you are allowed to do this, your DM is either unaware of what it can do, or is expecting you to have shitloads of money.
Or self-control.
The DM is not expecting players to have self-control. What are you talking about?
I can cope. I mean, hey, I was gonna almost play one of these, and I was gonna self-limit myself to like not making shit tons of money.
Capitalism, man, the capitalist druid. I am Big Pharma.
Okay.
Big Pharma with an F. Farmer.
Okay. Okay.
God, I'm so fucking unfunny.
Oh man.
That's
That was
nature's
cringe.
bond.
Okay. So I think we've talked up that enough. The 3 options, 2.5, depending on how your DM feels. Don't show this to your DM; he'll just nope it. After all those numbers,
DMs...
he'll just nope it.
Shit! I've just ruined it. Nobody watches us. They're safe.
Okay. So the next thing that druids can get access to is Nature Sense. It's also at first level, and you get a free +2 on K Nature and survival checks, which further encourages you to like just invest in those skills. As an ability, it's pretty fine, but it's also pretty boring.
Yeah, it's good. Boring,
it's not
but good.
bad, just boring. So Wild Empathy, also like a first leveler, and it is the reason why Handle Animal might not be the most relevant thing for druids to have. It allows you to make a check to improve the attitude of an animal, like as if with Diplomacy. The check is a 1d20, which is normal, plus Druid level, which is like your skill point max equivalent, plus your Charisma modifier, which is the same that it would be for Handle Animal. Domestic animals tend to start at Indifferent, and wild animals tend to start at Unfriendly as long as combat isn't broken out. It does take time to use like Diplomacy check would, though here's kind of like the kicker for it. Technically speaking, there's nothing in Handle Animal that actually allows for calming of a wild animal. It's basically only a DM allowance for some creatures, and it's one that I've seen fairly commonly. So, strictly speaking, technically only Wild Empathy can do that.
There is definitely also an issue where with a lot of wild animals, if you have encountered them, the DM is probably saying, you've come across a pack of wild boars or wolves and this like roll fucking initiative. DMs
True.
can jump the gun a bit, especially with the druid, so the druid also has to have the presence of mind to go, hold on DM, can I approach this without this happening? Now I suppose if you've got a mountain lion that's just jumped out of a tree and rugby tackled the wizard, it might be off the table.
Yeah.
But stumbling upon a pack of wild X's, the DM should be mindful enough to give the druid a chance to avoid this combat encounter if they can.
In my defense, the last time that I threw like wild animals at the party, I don't think you guys had a druid.
I'm not directing that at you. It's just a thing. It's just what I've seen DMs do, where it's like you come across these, they're angry or they're hunting. Roll initiative, and the druid's just sat there with his limp dick in his hand.
Let me Wild Empathy. I wish to befriend. prove to them that I am friend-shaped.
I mean, here's the thing: it functions like diplomacy, but nothing's saying you have to use it as diplomacy. You could make yourself larger and more intimidating and try and stare them down with it. Like, you can handle it. It would be that I am the alpha, stand down, or hello, pss, 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 pss. However you want to do it.
Oh no, that pss, 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 pss. Dad, you coming running?
Shut up.
Des is not clicker trained, or whatever, I assume.
Alright.
I don't know what you fucking get up to.
Oh yeah, there's also this this bit of phrasing for it where you can also wild empathy magical beasts with an intelligence score of 1 or 2, but you take a penalty. It might also be worth mentioning that handle animal can work on non-animals as well, but also with a penalty there. And,
I don't think it works on mindless things, though.
No. It needs like 1 or 2 intelligence. Which means almost all the vermin are out of the box there. So sliding on along to Woodland Stride. So at 2nd level, this allows for a druid to like ignore terrain that's created by mostly just plants such as thorns and briars. Magically altered terrain will affect druids as normal. In most terrain, this is just a thing you have. I also think it reasonable to stretch to most naturally forming difficult terrain. But technically as worded, it normally only just affects undergrowth.
I mean, I definitely think... I mean, we're going to go back to the, let's say, a desert or a tundra. You know, shitty snow drifts, soft sand. I definitely think that this should also apply to that kind of difficult terrain. However, there are archetypes for those environments that do have their own Woodland Stride that applies to that.
Picturing that druid walking through through a swamp, having no problem with all the trees and everything, then suddenly ends up knee deep in mud and just bitching.
Get stuck.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it should generally apply to a lot more than just the forest, because nature is a lot more diverse than a fucking forest.
Yeah.
Especially in mountainous terrains where it is just all difficult terrain all day, every day. It's just scree and rubble.
It's climb.
I mean, you say that, but I say it's wild shape into bird.
Wild shape into bird.
Or something with a burrow speed. I am now Bullet. Bores into side of mountain. Fuck you, mountain.
Alright. So then we also have Trackless Step here. It's at 3rd level. It's definitely an ability. And what it does is the druid leaves no trail and cannot be tracked unless they choose to leave a trail. It can have niche cases of being valuable, but unless you can extend that protection to the rest of the party, the meathead might just get tracked. And I guess if your druid is living a good old life of crime, it could come in handy quite often.
A life of crime, or you have wild shaped into something stealthy and you're the scout?
I mean, you could be the
Bird.
scout. You are the druid.
Or you could be a blackbird. You could just be a fucking bird.
You could be a fucking bird or a fucking mouse.
Track
or...
this, you filthy casual.
I mean, tell me that, like, casting Call Lightning, then turning into a blue jay, and then just circling overhead and dropping lightning bolts.
Yeah. You
Very,
can be the aerial artillerist.
very
Turns into
druid.
squirrel, sits in tree, drops lightning,
Wouldn't-
chews nut.
That you'd be doing fire seeds. You'd have your cheek full of acorns, pull one out, and it turns into a grenade and just fucking wing it.
Are we suggesting that Fire Siege should be a squirrel racial spell?
Yes.
If it's an awakened squirrel, yes.
Good to know.
I mean, hey, if you've got the enchantment on your armor, there's a squirrel up that tree and the enemy makes a perception check and notices it's wearing armor, they're probably going to get a bit sus by then.
I mean, if I saw a squirrel wearing armor, I'd probably also be sus.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if they were smart and they glamored it so it looks like a stupid costume, it might look less sus and more just, huh?
No!
It's
What do you
someone's
mean?
pet
If there's
squirrel.
if there is a squirrel that is dressed up as a clown or a jester or something, I would be even more sus than it would be if it was wearing spiked plate.
Yeah,
that a me thing?
probably. I mean, I was thinking
Anyway.
kind of like, you know Disney's Aladdin, how Babu had the frickin' vest and stupid little hat?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, kind of like that.
I was thinking more like Eldar Harlequin style evil fucking demon clown suit.
Evil demon clown squirrel would definitely draw attention to itself.
Yeah. Especially if
While
it's chucking grenades.
While that might look rad, or metal, or really stupid, one of the three. Could be all three at once. I think that ruins the purpose of, you know, being glamored. to,
But
like,
it'd be really... Okay, look, we're going back to that point where Trinian was running around with his negative 18 to stealth checks because he refused to turn his halo off.
Oh, Trinian.
Like, there are going to be players who go, no, it's funnier this way. It's a disadvantage, but it's much funnier. And they're going to do it.
Can we just remember that we're also still talking about trackless step?
No.
Alright,
Trackless step, it's mid. But
It's
it
there.
can be used. Resist
It's
Nature's
there.
Lure, also mid, and is also there.
Alright,
I mean,
yeah.
let's be fair. Those are there to be replaced by archetypes for better things.
Sure
Oof.
fucking are.
But fair.
Sure are.
So, Resist Nature's Lure does come in at 4th level. It grants a bonus on saves versus spells and spell likes of Fae, but will also protect you against effects like that will target plants, you know, like Blight or Entangle. While this is one of those, it's kind of just there, I think it's a little bit more valuable, actually, because, like, when you get to certain high-level spells, some of them will desiccate you and have a higher damaging effect against a plant. Because they can target plants, they fall under Resist Nature's Lure, which gives you that +4.
I suppose. I mean, you are right, especially if you're one of those like the green man archetype, or you're actually making use of plant form and using the immunities and resistances. Because plant form, being able to turn into a plant type creature, it just convey quite a lot of resistances to you. They're very tanky, in that a lot of shit just doesn't work on them.
Plants are weirdly tanky.
So it's so niche though. Like if you're a plant druid, okay, it's good because now the silver bullets that are designed to fuck you don't fuck you anymore.
Well, no,
it's
it's
not
not
most
even that.
druids.
It's that you don't have to be a plant for this to kick in. Any effect that can target a plant gets this a boost to it.
Sure, but if you've been blighted and you're not a plant, it's not doing too much to you.
No, but you're getting an extra save, and I'm thinking not Blight, but the further advanced form later on. Like, I use the term Desiccation very specifically because I know that there's a
Horrid
spell...
Wilting.
Yes, Horrid Wilting is the spell that I'm thinking of.
I do like Horrid
8th level
Wilting.
spell, if I'm not mistaken. Can do a lot of damage.
It's an 8th level spell, a lot of damage, indiscriminate, and it's like 100, it's like 60 or 100 foot radius. It's massive.
But it also affects plants.
True.
And that line causes Resist Nature's Lure to fall under it.
Okay. Fine. It's definitely more useful when we're back to the Fae trying to mindfuck you and trick you and illusion you, and you're like, no.
Oh, definitely. Like, in a campaign that's very Fae-centric, it is way more useful.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so, another Keystone ability coming up next. A Wild Shape.
It's basically the last good ability they'll get.
So, Wild Shape, it's initially gained at 4th, and it scales through the Druid's career. The duration of the ability is 1 hour per Druid level, so when you have it, it basically will last for half of your adventuring day. And
unless you have unless you have the feat and double that.
I mean, sure, but I almost feel like that's not even entirely necessary because by the time you have 2 uses, you have a collective 12 hours. And by the time you have, like, when you hit level 8, you get 3 uses, you cover the entirety of the 24-hour period.
True, but if you're cycling Wild Shape to adapt to changing battlefield situations,
Sure.
then you get to that when you're actually using it as a ghetto shape change the spell.
You could, and I believe there's also that that vest that just gives you a 1 more Wild Shape a day.
Druid's
We'll be
Vestment.
talking about that in the future.
There's actually a lot of feats to support it. You can extend the duration, probably on two more feats to extend the duration. Powerful build, more stats. There's a lot of them. It does make Wild Shape exceptionally powerful. It's like you've got the fighter who gets power attack, blah 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 blah. You get improved natural weapon. You get, there is an entire you are a druid fighter, fighting as a animal set
Yeah.
of feats, and you can also have power attack and cleave or whatever else you want.
I mean, power attack by itself might just be good enough. Power attack, big feat.
Hmm.
Alright, so you get more as you go, as far as uses are concerned, up to 8 at 18, and then at level 20, it just becomes an at-will. You probably won't see level 20, you might not even see 18. 7 uses, probably enough for a day. At baseline, you can become a smaller medium animal. It'll cause you to lose access to speech, and spellcasting unless you have the wild spell feat. And, your equipment that you don't have slots for merges into your body. You keep buffs from most passive equipment, i.e. a ring of protection, but will lose access to items that like call for an activation type of some sort.
Like a crown of swords, not that we ever remember to use it.
Like a crown
It
of
finally
swords.
got used right before it got hawked.
Yeah.
True.
So, I feel like showing numbers will do the class feature more justice than me trying to explain this. So, I have a wild shape handout here. And,
Okay.
it has the effects that you gain at each level on a level basis. And I'm just gonna enlarge its size a bit.
What are we reading? Where is it?
Wild shape under Druid. Here, I can hit the show to players button.
Yeah, should have done that first. Fantastic. Expecting me to go look for stuff.
I know, right? What a silly person I am. So, as you can see, the forms will get bigger stats and more abilities just as they advance, as well as they just get access to more forms.
Man, 5e players are gonna look at this and be like, holy fucking shit, it just doesn't concrete my stats into the animal stat block. No. The
No,
bigger
you,
and the bigger and angry you start off as when you go well shit, the bigger and angrier you'll end up.
I mean, yeah. There's definitely a case of these augment your starting stats, which is why more is always better, but having a starting base of a lower strength or dex, you'll eventually be able to get by on pure bonus. Especially when you start hitting these elemental bodies, because elemental body just gives you a lot of stats.
There's also the fact that it's a size bonus to these stats, so it stacks with your belt of physical might or whatever.
Yeah.
It will stack with your enhancement bonuses.
It will. Which, it could be from a spell, or eventually, most likely, from a big stat belt.
And remember, you can also stack it with the pseudo size increases as well.
Yes.
They just count as and are not a size increase.
Such as, oh, what's that feat? Improved natural attack that gives you a size bonus increase to your natural attack. Whichever natural attack you chose.
Yep, that will stack with your enlarged form.
Yes.
So if you go to a large with this feat, your natural attacks are on the huge scaling. Works on monks too,
Yeah,
obviously.
obviously. But yes, Wild Shape is it's kind of analogous to Cleric's Channel, because it's the ability that just covers the most progression for the class. Most of the Druid progression is an enhancement to this ability, which is why it does kind of make some sense that some of my players thought, a Wild Shape very important. Because at worst, even if you are a caster-style Druid, you can always use Wild Shape, especially once you have access to the Wild Spell feat, just as a stat stick for more stats, more durability.
I mean, you definitely do get to that point where you've not really done much with your wild shape. You are focused on being a caster. Something gets up in your face, and then you turn into a bear or whatever and just rip its head off. It's like, don't try that shit again.
But yes. Wild Shape. It is just a good ability.
It's class defining, some would say.
Absolutely. Alright. Moving on along, the next different thing that you get will be at level 9. It's immunity to poison. It's decent. It can come in handy. There's a good chance you'll see poison happen at least once.
Well, it also covers things that are poison effects, like Cloud Kill.
Yes. Protection from Cloud Kill's pretty nice.
It really does.
Oh, it also
Or hell,
protects
you
from
get
the green ray of prismatic spray.
Yeah, exactly. You got prismatic spray and it hit green, and it's like, no.
Be immune to the green.
It does mean you can't get drunk.
Small price to pay.
That's why
Depending on how you feel about it.
That's why we had that knife in your campaign where Trinity just stab himself with a knife that negates immunity to poison, just so he could have a couple of drinks.
Oh yeah, I remember that knife. What a goofy knife. What's this knife's purpose? It's poison support. What's its actual purpose? The druid wants to get drunk. Stab.
Ow! I'll have a drink to dull the pain.
When there's a knife sticking out of your leg, just so you can have a drink.
Needs must.
Needs must. Alright. So moseying along further, we have 1,000 faces at 13th level, and it's basically an at-will alter self. Alter self lets you turn into other humanoid races, and it'll gift you, like, a few abilities, which is, like, mostly senses or, like, swim. It's
I mean,
also,
let's
like,
be fair. Just turn into yourself, but like with
Be
slightly
wild-shaped.
longer hair. Just with slightly longer hair, just to get the free +2 to your strength.
Exactly. I was
Well,
about to mention that.
I was thinking more that you can wild shape into your combat form with your massive duration, and then use this ability to look like yourself.
That would be nice, except it flat out says only in normal form.
Oh.
Reading
Yeah.
comprehension hard.
Look,
can't
I
read.
read to alter self, I clicked it, and then skipped the last bit.
Yeah. Worst
I'm a
case,
genius. Oh no.
it is just a permanent +2 size bonus to Dex or Strength, even if you are just turning into your own race and being you, but buffer or taller or shorter.
Yeah. Though, granted, that's not going to stack with your belt that you probably have.
It's a +2 size bonus. So it will
wait,
stack
is
with
that
belt. It won't stack with wild shape, but it's independent of wild shape. It's perfect.
Why is my brain was like, that's an enhancement bonus. No, it's just like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Reading
I just can't
comprehension
read.
hard.
I'm having a bad day today.
I mean, hey, it is a way. You could use it instead of wild shape and have less buffs and basically be you, but a little bit more buff or shorter or whatever. And
That'd
have
be the
access to
ideal
all of
you.
your class features and abilities.
No,
Sure.
clearly what this is for is you use 1,000 faces to turn yourself into Goku, and then you wild shape into a giant monkey.
Fuck it, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
My brain desires to ask why, but the rest is like, yeah, okay,
The answer is for the bit.
for the bit.
It's for the bit.
For the bit. Alright. Timeless Body. It's an ability at 15th that will stop the druid from accruing penalties from old age. It'll also prevent any manner of magical aging. Magical aging is a fairly rare effect. It can happen. It won't get rid of penalties that you already have, though.
Cries in Cherry Blossom spell not working on a level 15 druid.
What it will do is allow you to get your bonuses to mental stats from Age of Wisdom. Is it Wisdom and Intelligence you get?
It's all three.
All three.
Wisdom, Charisma,
Yeah,
and
okay.
Intelligence all scale up as you get older.
So you can get a bunch of free natural stats from your age and ignore the detriment to your physicals.
Which is not a small thing either, to be
I mean,
strictly honest.
judging by the fact that the detriment to your physicals is -6 and the plus to your mentals is +3,
Yeah.
definitely worth being able to do that without taking the -6 to everything.
Especially if you can
True.
engineer a way to get to the age category after the fact, or
Yeah.
attain it just before you get Timeless Body.
Play Kingmaker. Make sure you're the human druid while the rest of your group is like long-lived races. Right
Yeah.
before going into last book, when you're at level 15, make sure to wait like 5 years.
Hit the hyperbolic time chamber.
Well,
You know.
I'm sure there's a way to do demi-plane shenanigans with a different time for. It's like, right, I'm going to be gone for a round or two. How long has it been? I've been meditating for 100 years.
I was
You don't look at
3,000 years ago.
just popping out of your fucking demi-plane like Rita Repulsa.
Oh man, this is it's
I'm
Trinian again.
I'm free.
It's freaking Trinian again. Popping out
And
with
then
his
use the
full
free altar
beard.
self. And then you use the free altar self to look like your young self anyway, because you're still just as fit.
Yeah. This is when a DM just picks up the fucking hardback Dungeon Master's Guide and just throws it at you.
Worth
This
mention.
is why it's good that we play online.
Worth
The worst
mention.
you can do is ban us.
I mean, that's still pretty bad. I think I'd rather get hit by the DMG.
Yeah, I'd rather take my lumps.
Alright,
What's
alright.
this alternate capstone?
I was gonna mention, you still die of old age from Timeless Body when your time comes. So Druids also have an alternate capstone. I don't think they truly have a capstone, though. Because, like, Wild Shape is their 4th level ability, and it scales into 20th level. Therefore, like, this could go either way. It depends on your DM's perspectives, so be sure to ask. But if you're allowed to just take it, it grants this ability where you pick a specific area relevant to the campaign, and in that area you have basically constant commune with nature, and a +4 caster level just in that area.
So, if you're playing Kingmaker, you pick the Stolen Lands.
Yeah, something like that. It might have to be something smaller
Well, it
than
does
the entirety
say-
of the stolen lands, but
Because it does say, like, a prominent forest, mountain, or patch
Yeah.
of sea. Mind you, if you just pick the area around your main kingdom, make sure to put a big forest around the kingdom. That way the druid will have a nice home ground when they get to that level.
I mean, if, let's say you've got your city in Kingmaker in this hypothetical and it's surrounded by farmlands, it's actually set up like a proper walled city where the farmlands surrounding it can fall back into the walled city in case of invasion. The second anything hostile steps into what is your domain, it's like, hey boss, I'm sensing an invasion. Like, as in context of Kingmaker and Kingmaker style city building management campaigns, it's really good. On the other hand, you are level 20, so who the fuck is invading you, and what did they smoke this morning?
yeah.
That's a mistake.
If the druid's coming and being like, yeah, someone's invading, the next question out of the Baron's mouth is, and why didn't you part the earth and swallow their entire army up?
Well, we need to move some of the farmers out, because they might get swallowed up. It's like, yes, just get the farmers in. Cool. Anyway, fucking meteor shower. Fuck you! Storm of vengeance that way.
Yeah. This capstone might be better for an NPC than an actual PC.
True.
Though you can probably choose an area that like holds your BBG and get like a significant bonus for the final boss fight. You know, if you can get away with it.
What do you consider your home? His home, or your?
I mean, you don't have to pick your home. You just have to pick somewhere that's relevant to the campaign.
It's
I.e.,
fucking
in this
true.
case, you'd probably pick the Kodar Mountains. Are you in the Kodar Mountains? Then you get a boost. In Kingmaker, you might be just picking your house. Or hey,
Yeah.
maybe you just really like the Mosswood.
I mean, again, with the commune with nature being a permanent effect, you also at that point get to peek at the DM's basic troop movement, so you know where they're sending squads. You know if they're underground, mining you out, they're sapping your walls. You've kind of got this thing here now where it's like, yeah, I know exactly what all their strategic fucking choices are. Let's counter them. So, in certain situations, this is just basically the most ridiculous divination effect you have.
It's pretty silly.
If you're not in that situation, it's kind of garbage, but...
Yeah. It's a very 20th level ability, man.
It's very win more. It's like, I'm already 20th level and can basically go and punch God in the face, but if God comes to my house, I'll punch him harder.
And I know exactly what he's doing. Are we going to cover the favorite class bonuses by any chance?
Not yet,
here?
no.
Okay.
We might cover favorite class bonuses whenever we get around to covering actual playable races.
Okay.
Yeah, it would probably be better to include those on that instead of...
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
In any case, you can, by the way, be an ex-druid. If you cease revering nature, if you become an extreme alignment, or if you teach a non-druid the druidic language. That's the bad stuff alluded to earlier.
So
Yeah,
what you're saying is that bad stuff there should have probably affected a certain druid we know, because they were like, well, why should I care about that?
This is the DM taking mercy on someone who has picked a druid for purely aesthetic reasons.
And this is me picking on the druid for being merciful like that.
Anyways,
Sure.
you'll lose access to everything. Except for your
Everything.
proficiencies. And you can only take levels as druid until you atone for atonement.
The fact that the druidic language is so important to druids that, like, teaching the language just ditches your powers.
Yeah.
Like, the first two make sense. That last one, it's like, huh?
You teach someone druidic. Oh, nature be like, oh no you didn't. Zaps away your powers.
I actually just want to point something out in this favorite class bonuses. One
Right.
specific one.
Okay.
Halfling. Every 4 levels, you get a +1 luck saving throw on all your animal companion saving throws.
That's pretty goofy.
Yeah, there is... Or hell, the half-orc. Plus, every 3 levels, you get another +1 to your natural armor bonus while using Wild Shape. Some of these are good, what the fuck?
Yes. Why are you surprised that they're good? I think
Because
that's
I play
more concerning.
humans, and it's either mid or it's another spell every level.
I mean,
to your
another spell
list.
every level
That's
is
what
not
you
bad
get for
either.
having a feat.
True.
Enjoy.
Damn, favorite class bonuses are fucking good.
Yes.
Nuts.
Yes, well.
Oh hell! Hold on. Wait, did I see that? No, that's third party. Never mind. Third party, I don't care about John Brazier Enterprises.
Okay. So that's essentially all I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
What's our closing thoughts here?
Druid's good.
Yes. Druid's good.
Druid good.
Ape together strong. The ape.
You can return to monkey.
You can also evolve to crab.
You can evolve to crab.
And when worse comes to worse, turn into dinosaur and teach everyone a lesson.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the issues with just how the stat block. Well, no, not with wild shape. With animal companions, if you can take a dinosaur or the megafauna and you haven't, you're doing it wrong. Unfortunately.
I think that's a bit more nuanced than just that. You might want something very specific out of your animal companion. Like, I could see a case for wanting to take a gorilla and giving your gorilla a big ass gun.
You can
Because they have
you
opposable
can get a fully sentient rape ape. This is true. But unless you're doing that, you probably want a T-Rex or a Spino or something because of just the sheer amount of stats and shit.
Takes wolf because good boy trumps all.
It doesn't trump a Rex and it's plus 52 to grab.
I mean,
And then
you say,
swallow
Boy,
whole.
you're invalid.
you say wolf, but there's also a dog. You could actually take a dog.
Oh, even better, boy.
Stats, though.
Yeah,
Actually, on the topic of animal companion, is there a megafauna gorilla? Is there a megapithecus or something?
I don't know if there's a Megapithecus. I don't recall reading one.
We're not talking about animal companions. That's going to be a separate video. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, so there is Megaprimatus. So the ape stat is used for the megafauna. Does the ape become large at... Yes, at 4th level it becomes large.
That's a little early.
But it doesn't. Oh, I guess +8 strength. Never mind. Ape good early. It doesn't have any grab or snatch or kid. Oh, it's got item slots, doesn't it? It's got
Yeah,
every
like,
item slot you have.
That,
It can
that's
wear
kind
shoes.
That's kind of a benefit to humanoid with hands. It has every item slot. That's a downside. That's a downside to a lot of the aquatic and a lot of the and the snakes is that they lose a lot of item slots. But we'll cover those in the future.
So I just want to look at the ape. It's only got +1 natural armor at level 1. When it becomes large, it only gets +2 to its natural armor versus like warcats and rex and dinosaurs that get like +8 or +6. 13 strength, but it does get +8. It'll have 15 dex, con int 2, so it can get con 14. It's quite squishy, but it's got the item slot support.
Yeah.
Okay. I think ape good. I mean, hell, if it's got 3 intelligence, it can get feet. You can Shikigami style a sledgehammer on your ape.
You could.
Ape with sledgehammer. Weep.
You could.
I think
Anyways,
that's climb speed.
So if you like what we do, consider leaving a like, maybe consider subscribing, and possibly leave a comment. Bye!
Make sure to put F in chat for Harambe.
Bye, everyone.